warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Yogi Saputra I'm from Group D. I have one partner. She's Felizia Febriani. In this meeting, we would like to explain about instructional assessment. Okay, the first material will be explained by Feli, and then the next material will be explained by me.
1. Defining the assessment process. A. Assessment. Assessment is an umbrella term that refers to the entire process of collecting information and making judgment about instructional outcomes. It helps teachers decide what is working and what is not. Pre-assessment provides insight into what students already know and don't know. Before beginning instruction, pre-assessment might be formal, such as a pre-test of course-related knowledge, and skills informal, such as observation of attitudes and activities about the area of study that students express, or a combination of the two. B. Measurement. Measurement refers to decision about how the achievement of objective will be operationalized or quantified. In rating complete instructional objective, a process which has been discussed in previous chapter. It is capture of the note the goal has been accomplished. Testing in one kind of measurement and question under control condition. C. Evaluation. Evaluation is judgment or merits or words often communicated via grading. Assessment is not necessarily evaluative, or does it necessarily have to lead relative work. That is, students are given report of how well they did, which tells students what they did or are doing well and not so well, and how they can do better. 2. Evaluating feedback. A. Base for evaluation. There are two general bases for evaluating students' learning: non-reference evaluation and orientation-referred evaluation. Non-referenced evaluation is very similar as B-shaped curve. It is designed to rate students' performance relation of the performance of the other students. Students are ranked order and grade cutter are based on how well the normative groups did well. Creation reference evaluation is based on absolute objective performance standards or criteria. It aims to indicate whether or not a student has mastered behavior specific in a formal instructional objective. B. A brief history of grades. The first grades were recorded in this country in 1783 at Yale, where four descriptive adjectives were used: optim, second optimal, inferior, and pursuer. This term translates roughly into the designation of an early English system which evaluates students' enrollment, placement, creative basis, and unmentionable. In the early 1800s, however, the College of William and Mary reflected a different perceptive and evaluation criteria sending all parents of students report in which their student name appears in one of four lists. The first one is the first their respective class and orderly and attentive and have made the most flattery improvement. 2. Orderly, correct, and attentive, and their improvement has been respectable. 3rd, they have made very little improvement and as the offend one of glance. 4th, they have learned little or nothing and we believe on account of escape and illness. By Milton Polio and Aison, 1986. 3. Descriptive feedback. A. Feedback of students. As I have seen, evaluation feedback, which is communicated, is in the form of some sort of grading system, is likely to require a descriptive explanation so that its intended meaning can be interpreted. Without descriptive feedback, students will not know why a paper and a C rather than an A and will be left guesses as to how to improve on the next paper. B. Feedback from students. Descriptive feedback can also be directed from the students to the teacher. This kind of feedback also teachers to make change in classroom atmosphere, instructional strategies, and so forth based on student input. Research has shown that students are very appropriate sources to solid information regarding students' instructor relationship, their views on the workload and the assessment, what they are learning in the course, and the perceived fairness of grading and the instructional ability to communicate clearly. Feedback from students can be solicited periodic use, or students can simply request to write down what you like most about this unit and what you would have liked to do different.
Okay, I will explain for the next material for assessment and effect. Being evaluated makes people feel vulnerable. An adult who was in the position of having to take a test to renew a driver's license or to obtain a license after having moved to a different state knows how much anxiety accompanies the possibility of failure. No matter how much one rationally tells oneself that marginally literate 16-year-olds pass the test every day, the prospect of taking a test or placing the right to drive a car on the line is uncomfortable. Similarly, many teachers are wary of asking their students for feedback because they cannot get past the negative comments, even if there are 50 compliments for each criticism. Yang keempat yaitu penilaian dan pengaruh. Evaluasi membuat orang merasa rentan. Setiap orang dewasa yang berada dalam posisi harus memiliki tes untuk memperbarui SIM atau untuk mendapatkan SIM setelah pindah ke negara bagian lain. Seberapa besar kecemasan yang menyertai kemungkinan kegagalan? Tidak peduli seberapa banyak seseorang secara rasional mengatakan pada dirinya sendiri bahwa anak-anak berusia 16 tahun yang sedikit melek huruf lulus ujian setiap hari, prospek untuk mengikuti ujian atau mempertaruhkan hak untuk mengemudikan mobil tidak nyaman. Demikian pula banyak guru yang berhati-hati dalam meminta umpan balik kepada siswanya karena mereka tidak dapat melewati komentar negatif bahkan jika ada 50 pujian untuk setiap kritik. 5. Making judgments. In making the first decision, deciding how students will be judged, Teachers should be compulsively explicit about what will constitute varying degrees of success and what will constitute failure. Clearly specified instructional objectives are a means of doing so, particularly in a mass relearning system where evaluation is limited to an assessment of whether or not an objective has been mastered or needs further work. While some students may be unhappy about an outcome, they will be more resentful of inconsistency if they are told what they will have to be able to do and are assessed in terms of something else. Their effect for the teacher and probably the subject will be diminished. Yang kelima itu membuat penilaian. Dalam membuat keputusan pertama, memutuskan bagaimana siswa akan dinilai, guru harus secara kompulsif eksplisit tentang apa yang akan membentuk berbagai tingkat keberhasilan dan apa yang akan merupakan kegagalan. Tujuan instruksional yang ditentukan dengan jelas adalah sarana untuk melakukannya, terutama dalam sistem pembelajaran penguasaan di mana evaluasi terbatas pada penilaian. Apakah satu tujuan telah dikuasai atau perlu pekerjaan lebih lanjut? Sementara beberapa siswa mungkin tidak senang dengan suatu hasil. Mereka akan lebih membenci inkonsistensi. Jika mereka diberitahu apa yang harus mereka lakukan dan dinilai dari segi hal lain, pengaruh mereka terhadap guru dan mungkin subjeknya akan berkurang. Communicating judgment. The second decision teachers must make is how to communicate their judgment to students. We must provide more information to students about their performance than just their grades. Descriptive feedback can be reinforcing and encouraging. Regular formative feedback will help many students do better than they would have done without it, and will give them an indication of how they are doing and how they can do better before they are formally evaluated. Judgment about the students as a person should be kept separate from judgment about the students' progress toward achieving learning objectives. Yang terakhir itu yang keenam, mengkomunikasikan keputusan. Keputusan kedua yang harus dibuat guru adalah bagaimana mengkomunikasikan penilaian mereka kepada siswa. Kita harus memberikan lebih banyak informasi kepada siswa tentang kinerja mereka daripada hanya nilai mereka. Umpan balik deskriptif dapat memperkuat dan mendorong. Umpan balik formatif yang teratur akan membantu banyak siswa melakukan lebih baik daripada yang akan mereka lakukan tanpanya, dan akan memberi mereka indikasi tentang bagaimana mereka melakukannya dan bagaimana mereka dapat melakukan lebih baik sebelum mereka dievaluasi secara formal. Penilaian tentang siswa sebagai pribadi harus disimpan terpisah dari penilaian tentang kemajuan siswa dalam mencapai tujuan pembelajaran. Be enough the explanation from us. If we have some mistakes, we beg your pardon a lot, and last we say wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.